I've been bullet journaling for 4 years now. This is my 4th year, and I'm going to share with you 5 things that I've learned so far and what keeps me going with bullet journaling. The first thing that I very quickly realised is that I need to understand my motivation for bullet journaling. People bullet journal in such different ways, and you can easily get confused if what you're seeing isn't aligned with what you value. When you hear Ryder Carroll talking about bullet journaling being a system that combines mindfulness and productivity and think, that's what I want, then you also see people being creative in their bullet journals and you start dabbling with that side of things too. There comes a point where you have to ask yourself, why do I bullet journal? Is it mindfulness? Is it productivity? Is it a hobby? Is it for social media? Bullet journaling can give you any of those things, but maybe not all of those things in equal measure. There are always trade-offs when you want everything. For example, if you go into it thinking that you want it for productivity and intentional living, and later down the line you start sharing it on social media, you might start to get influenced by beautiful designs you see and want to do more of that. Then, like with anything you share on social media, it turns into wanting to share bigger, better and prettier things. And then suddenly something that you value and love turns into something stressful or pressurizing. That doesn't mean don't share. This is just a risk that comes with everything you share on social media. But if you always stay close to what you value, you can always make sure that you're getting what you want from it, even years down the line. So then you're less likely to get overwhelmed by what other people are doing, and you just do what matters to you. And you can enjoy sharing on social media without getting overwhelmed by everything that you see. When you're starting out, you might want to experiment and try lots of different things to figure out what you like and what you value. I did too. Just keep assessing. Write a list. Write down what you want from it and keep reassessing. In my first 3 years of bullet journaling, I never shared any of it on social media, simply because I really just wasn't on Instagram or on YouTube until March 2020. And in those 3 years, bullet journaling for me was about 3 things. 1, being mindful, a way to slow down, take a break from screens and be aware of what's going on in my life and in my mind. I did a lot of spreads that made me more mindful about how I was living, the things that I value and how I wanted to live, and I still do. And quite often my monthly and weekly spreads can give me data to feed into those too. Number 2, productivity, but productivity of a different kind. My bullet journal spreads make me more aware of what matters to me, so I can take action and spend time on those things. It also energizes me. If you've seen my mindfulness meets productivity video, you'll know how important I think energy management is when it comes to productivity. It also gives me positive energy, which helps me be productive with the things that matter to me and the more mundane things that I have to do as well. Number 3, a hobby. It was a way to practice things like calligraphy, which I've always wanted to do, and a way to be creative in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming to me. I also love stationery. You don't need fancy stationery for bullet journaling at all, but if you've always wanted an excuse to buy and use more stationery, being creative in your bullet journal gives you just that. And the mindset I have about it is that I don't need stationery for bullet journaling, but I want it for my own pleasure. And you know how much I value simple pleasures and fun. In my 4th year of bullet journaling, I started sharing to YouTube and Instagram, and I immediately saw that I could fall into the trap of feeling like I need to be really artistic and do better and more unique designs every month. This pressure just didn't feel right to me, and I had to shift my mindset to reassess what I value, since there was a new factor now, social media, and I had to think about how I can stay true to myself and what I've always loved about bullet journaling. There's a chance it might get less views on YouTube and it might get less likes on Instagram, but I can be okay with that because I know from the values exercise that I place less importance on social media than on the other parts of bullet journaling. So in short, my first lesson was to know why I'm doing this, stay close to it and reassess along the way. Number 2, progress over perfection. I made a lot of progress over the years, but my spreads were far from perfect, both in terms of design and function. I can see spreads in my bullet journal that I didn't really need as much as I thought, and I can see mistakes all over the place, but I made progress by letting go of perfection. Some examples of progress I made are, I learned how to draw some stuff. I couldn't draw anything before. I learnt a bit more about design and layout, which has helped me design other unrelated things. I found a way to prepare my goals for a month that really works for me. I learnt how to use my bullet journal for mindfulness. I became good at structuring my thoughts in a way that I found helpful after doing so many different types of reflection spreads in my journal. You make progress in so many different ways if you use your bullet journal in a way that works for you. The only way to make this progress is to let go of perfection. Focusing on the process instead of being perfect can help make everything in life more enjoyable. I just find that the better I get at doing that in general, the more likely I am to be able to commit to things, build habits, and enjoy what I'm doing. Number 3, simple over stressful. I mentioned that I do like to be a bit creative with my bullet journal, but some themes I've done have just caused me so much stress and I wasn't happy with them in the end anyway. At these times I remind myself of what my bullet journal is for, and I even drill down on the categories. So what is the art for example? For me, being creative in my journal is therapeutic, fun and relaxing. Stressful isn't anywhere on the list. So like with everything, if you want to increase your chances of sticking at something, make it fun for you. And that's knowing what's fun for you. For me, it's simplicity. When I keep things simple, I enjoy them so much more. So I need to know what my idea of simple is, because we all have a different view of what simple is depending on our own skills and experiences. Simple and relaxing to me is repeated patterns, lots of white space, outlines rather than detail, choosing one colour or maybe 2 colours, having a go-to colour palette. If you're a seasoned artist, you might find it more relaxing and fun doing more detailed drawings, but if you're like me and you like to keep the artwork simple, the things on this list can be some good things to remember to help keep it simple and therapeutic and relaxing. Find what feels good for you. I don't have an art journal or a sketchbook that I turn to for creativity. For me, a blank page like that to do anything I want with just feels a bit too daunting. So using my bullet journal for creativity is perfect because I get some comfort from being familiar with my journal and how I like to lay things out. Also, because I use my bullet journal so much for writing my lists, planning my day, getting out my thoughts, I need it to be simple. When my monthly themes are simple, it encourages me to open up my journal and just use it. If I get an idea to write a list about something in particular, I can go straight into my journal and start writing the list. And it doesn't feel odd just writing your list without decorating when your journal is simple anyway. So to summarise point 2, if you want to use your bullet journal for being creative and not a separate journal, and you want mindfulness and productivity from your journal, keeping it simple can really help. Number 4, the monthly mindset. A big thing I've learned from setting up monthly bullet journal spreads is that I get so much more out of myself just by doing a bit of prep for the month in advance. And that doesn't have to mean spending lots of time on planning. It starts with spending a bit of time at the beginning of your journal to think about your goals for the year and filling in your future log. Then setting yourself up for the month. You guys have probably seen my monthly planning videos at the end of each month where I fill out my spreads for the following month. This is possibly one of the most valuable 10 minutes that I spend in a month. I work through my spreads, reading reminders that I may have put in for the month, like my simple things list, and I put in my goals for the month. I spare a few minutes to think about what I want my goals to be for the month, and I often look back at the goals I set at the beginning of the year and my annual trackers or my vision board to see what sparks inspiration. And I let that guide my goals. If I see on my wellness tracker that I haven't been doing much yoga and I want to do more, then that can feed into my monthly goals. Or I might see that I haven't done much towards one of my yearly goals and set something related to that. At this point, I also add in events and tasks for the month from my future log and from what comes to mind. This really helps me start the month feeling proactive rather than reactive. And there's something I quite like about setting up for the month myself by hand rather than having it pre-made. It kind of just feels more personal and it makes me really excited to prepare and plan for the month. And maybe because over time I've grown to associate my bullet journal with learning and growth, I now immediately get a buzzing feeling of excitement about learning whenever I set up my bullet journal for the month. There's a reason why we use a bullet journal over a pre-made planner, and that's flexibility. Flexibility is one of the best things that you get from a bullet journal. I have some go-to spreads that I set up every month because they work for me at the moment, but as soon as I feel like I'm not getting what I need from them, I can change things up. Like last summer, for example, we went into full lockdown and I was looking after my kids all day and I didn't really want to use my weekly spreads in the same way for some of that time. So instead of having a Monday to Friday layout, I put in categories for things that I wanted to encourage myself to write down that week. I had a brain dump of tasks, I had a check-in section to see how I was feeling throughout the week, a section to write down simple moments that we had that week and fun things we were doing so I could appreciate the time that we were spending together and see that we were doing fun things and learning. A blank notebook with nothing built into it makes me just feel like I have the freedom to plan and reflect and record things in any way I want, and I can change my mind whenever I want to. Also, in the 4 years that I've been bullet journaling, I've lived completely different lives. In my first year of bullet journaling, I was on maternity leave. I was at home with a 2-year-old and a newborn. In year 2 and year 3, I was in a high-pressure corporate job. In year 4, I was in lockdown with my family and became a content creator, a homemaker, a homeschooling parent. I was able to use my bullet journal through all of those changes because I embraced the flexibility that it offers. The final thing I've learned about flexibility is that I can get so much more out of it if I'm not afraid to mix it up with other methods. So I use technology to support my productivity too. I have my content calendar in Notion with all of my research for videos, scripts and plans. I use note-taking apps throughout the day to make notes on the go that can feed into my journal spreads or my content planner. I even have apps that deliver affirmations to me that I can feed into my journal. I have apps that track my exercise or reading, and these I see as collection tools that give me data which I can then add meaning to through a specific bullet journal spread. So there it is, the 5 big lessons that I've learned from bullet journaling so far in the 4 years that I've been doing it, and also the things that help me stick to it. But I'm flexible and I'm open to change, and I'm sure there will be changes to how I do it along the way. Maybe it will just be a notebook with some lists. Maybe I'll not want to do any designs, or maybe I'll want to do more. You just don't know, and I don't want to limit myself. But for now, I know that I have a flexible system that helps me slow down in a good way and be proactive and take the opportunity to enjoy some simple pleasures, which I hope is a luxury that I can enjoy for a bit longer. Let me know in the comments about the system you use and what you love about it. Are you tech only, bullet journal only, or do you like a hybrid system? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.